Nicola Cairncross.
Hi, hello, hey, hi. I'm going to talk to you about success. Yes.
Okay, hi, it's Nicola here, recording, I hope. I've got 15 minutes to do this, so I've really got to get organised. I've got to record the 3 sections, I've got to relabel them, get them uploaded to Google Drive, so Phoebe can take them from there and then Sarah can take them from there. Today is a big day. We're recording 5 Right Club podcast episodes, and I've also dashed off a marketing email. What else have I done this morning? Can't remember what else. There must be more. And so basically we batch record them because people come and go from here all the time, and it's really nice if we want to catch everyone in on the podcast recordings, then we just get together for a day and hash them out. We've got a really strong organiser on the team, Stephanie, and she makes sure that we each know what we're doing, what we're talking about. There's a different chairman every week, we've got a different guest every week, so it's a bit of a logistical nightmare, and she's taken that over, thank goodness, because that's not my strength. I just have to concentrate on making sure we actually record each episode as we're going. So I want to talk a bit more about how to make your life easier with doing things like that in the main section. This week I suddenly had a mad burst of enthusiasm and decided to launch a 30-day challenge. I wanted to help people who were interested in the concept of being everywhere online to know what to do every single day for 30 days. And I figured out that if they just followed my instructions, one simple instruction every day, then at the end of 30 days they would end up with 3 to 4 great bits of content out there on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff, and they would also end up with 3 to 4 podcast episodes. They would now know how to make a podcast. So I figured that was pretty cool. I put out the word on Facebook, Twitter, through my mailing list, on my blog, all the usual places, a push crew, which is a sort of SMS push notification, and I sent a message to everyone who'd subscribed to my chatbot on Messenger. And we've got pretty much 40 people signed up already in just sort of literally 24 hours, and some of that I had a power cut, so it's going to be quite a lively one. If you'd like to join along, then just come along to my Facebook page, Nicola Cairncross UK, and you'll see pinned to the top of that page all the information you need to find out about the challenge, get involved and sign up for it. So looking forward to seeing you in the private Facebook group for that. It's been quite a busy week this week, mainly characterised by a nearly 24-hour power cut and the fridge man not coming for 3 days. So that was quite funny. My fridge broke. My landlord and landlady supplied a replacement one while we tried to work out what was going on, and then we called in the fridge man from Kalamata, and he was supposed to come on Thursday, and I was thinking he's going to turn up in the middle of the podcast recording. Then I was thinking he was coming on Friday and he was going to turn up in the middle of 4 recordings we were doing for the Own It podcast, where we were inviting guests and listeners of the podcast on to talk about their main passionate topic. And then I thought he'd come on Saturday, so I just carried on as normal, and I was going out in the evening, so I finally went out at 5 and went down to watch the rugby at one of my friends, and then we went to a taverna where there's someone who helps everybody a lot around here, and she had actually come up in the middle of her dinner. There she is. Hello. Calimera. There I was sitting in Melissa, and Stella, as a friend of ours, came over and she said, "Did you know the fridge man is at your house?" And I said, "No, I didn't know he was there." And she said, "Well, I've just been and let him in because she has a key, and he's fixing your fridge right now." And I thought, well, that's just typical, isn't it? You wait in for 3 days, then they turn up just as you leave. It's the same the world over. Ah, yes, the power went off. It went off at about 8 o'clock one evening, just before I was about to cook my dinner, and it went off completely, and everything went off, and I hadn't charged my phone, my iPad or my laptop recently because I let them run down once a week, and that was the day. So I had to swiftly scrabble around for matches and candles, and there were lots of both, luckily, and then I just sat and read. I think there was a bit of power left on my iPad, so I sat and read in my living room by candlelight off my iPad, and then I went to bed with a candelabra like they used to in the olden days, you know, with 3 candles on. And it was very turn of the century before that, and read in bed, and it was perfectly adequate light, so that's obviously how they used to manage in the olden days before Downton Abbey, that is. So I've moved out the back so it's marginally quieter here. There's something noisy going on up that road. Everybody here is getting ready for the start of the season, which is in a couple of weeks' time. Actually, it's Easter. Easter comes a bit earlier in Greece than it does in England, and it's the sort of, that weekend is the big one really for them. It's bigger than Christmas, that's for sure. Lots and lots of families come home from all over the world to Greece for Easter. So yeah, just wanted to talk to you about batching, because that's what it makes life so much easier. Today I'm going down to record 5 episodes of Own It the podcast with the ladies. We'll literally press on through the whole day. We change chairman, which changes the energy of each episode, which is nice, and we get up and have regular breaks and things, but it's the best way to do it because everybody lives all over the place. And the other thing is, I find when I'm doing this 30-day challenge, I recorded 7 days worth of videos in 1 hour yesterday because I wanted to get the first week done and dusted, and I wanted to make sure that I had a good proportion of it done in advance. So I find batching really easy. The thing I don't find easy about batching is things like naming conventions. So saving every video with the same sort of string of letters and numbers is a bit of a challenge for me, not least because I'm number dyslexic. But I press on and I try and plan it out beforehand what I'm going to call things, and then I work out, what numbers everything's going to be. Sounds such a simple thing, doesn't it? But it's the biggest challenge for me. But I would really encourage you to try and batch your content, and I find that working, setting aside certain days for certain types of activity works really well as well, because you end up in your flow on that activity, and you don't, even if you get up for a cup of tea or coffee, you don't end up breaking your concentration, and your brain gets used to working in a certain way that day, and it makes it really much easier to keep the concentration going. And then if you swap to a different kind of activity, say you were doing admin on Mondays and marketing on Fridays, and then you were delivering to your clients on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I definitely find it much easier. So I have all my things like client calls and sales calls on Wednesday and Tuesday, client calls on Thursday, along with recording the podcast, because I find I get into a more contemplative state of mind when thinking about Own It the podcast and recording Own It the podcast, and then I go straight from there into Clicks and Leads Academy calls and client calls afterwards. So batching is really good for being efficient. It's really good for keeping in concentration levels high, and it's really good for staying in the flow of certain activities. So think about what you could batch in your business, and as always, love to hear your comments underneath the video, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook or the blog, and talk to you soon. I'd love to hear about your experiences of batching and how it makes you more efficient and makes your work more enjoyable. So what's on the blog and the podcast this week? On the blog is obviously more information about my free 30-day challenge. So go over to nicolacairncross.com/blog to find out more about that. On Vzine number 60, I'm talking about marketing versus sales and how important it is to get a really strong brand for your business and have people think they know, like and trust you. How to get people to feel like you're talking directly to them when you're talking to camera like this. There's one simple tip. And and also how impossible it is now to send cold traffic straight to a sales offer and expect it to convert. You really need to do some work in warming people up first and building a relationship with them. And on Own It episode 172, that's ownitthepodcast.com/172, or you can come to nicolacairncross.com/blog. There's a great big lorry going past now. Yeah, Own It 172, we're talking about the Law of Attraction Part 1, and the reason we called it Part 1 is because we're going to be talking about it again in the future. We were just talking about how we both came to realise that the Law of Attraction isn't a load of old hokey, but it's actually a very important part of being a successful business person, because you really need to get to grips with how to control your mind. And I know I bang on about that a lot on this Vzine, but it is the one single thing that makes the difference. I believe that really, really strongly. What you think about becomes real. Yep, so that's what's on the blog and the podcast this week. Also, Right Club the Podcast, don't forget to go and check that out if you're a reader or a writer. rightclubthepodcast.com will take you straight there. So thanks very much for joining me this week, and as always, if you'd like to make a comment on the blog, YouTube or Facebook, it's down below. Just use the comment section. I would really love to hear from you.